welcome to another video on the channel. It's GHOSTDRIFTX, aka Ghost. In this video, I'm just gonna do a little talking. Basically, want to highlight some of these new bots. The Hellburner. I want you to basically pay attention to the speed of this bot. When it goes into the explosive phase, it can run really fast. That's a problem. So as we look at some of these clips, you'll see this is a really good one. The one before was good too. You might want to rewind it. But this one here is really good just to see how fast this bot is closing in on the team. And these are what you would say your legacy robots, bots that have been in the game for a while. The Fury, the Rhino, they don't really have a way to get away from this bot. The Griffin, any bot that can jump may get, have an opportunity to try and get away. Even the new Spectre, which was the Exorcist, right? Even that bot, you see it jumps, but it can't jump that far anymore, right? So that's been removed or cut back. The more I think about it, first I was saying the bot's not as overpowered as before, but we'll get into that later. I want to keep talking about the Hellburner. Here you're going to see a build that you probably will see a lot if this comes to live, which I'm pretty sure it will. I don't really want to see it, but this has the Ansel on top of it, and look how quickly it closes in on my bot, and me using Punishers does not get through the Ansel well. And you're gonna see they're gonna explode, and I'm away from it, but I'm still in the blast radius, so I can't see it on the ground, but you can see a blast radius on the ground. That's the first hit, and then somebody hit me with the vortex on the top, so that was probably from one of the Spectre bots. So for vortex, if they hit you, it's like getting hit by a tread Fury, okay? And I know you're like, no, it's not true, but they do 19k. One stack does 19k, so if you add 4 of that, you're doing basically not a tread, but you're doing what a Butch Fury would, a Butch tread would do. That's another Spectre taking me out. Here I'm just using the Nordstroms just to see the damage, because the Nordstroms do have a faster firing radius, or firing time. It's only 6 seconds between fire. And here you're gonna see me hit the target. I barely got him there, but this next time I'm gonna get a clean shot. But the problem is, even if you hit the Hellburner before it gets destroyed, it's gonna still blow up. So here we go, and we're gonna hit him. Boom, but watch my teammate, still gone. Okay, so that's the problem with trying to stop that bot, okay? So here we're gonna move into, the Dragon, okay? Or Dragoon, right? So this little bot is a Dragoon, but look at my damage that I'm taking from that Fury. The Fury's hitting me with the Dragon, and the little Strider was hitting me at the same time. And then here I'm running the Carnage with it, and we're actually hitting I believe that was a Spectra over there. I believe it was. It could have been a Grip, but I believe it was Spectra. And here we are damaging it again. Now that was a Spectra that time. And, it's a strong weapon. The only thing I would say on this weapon that could be a little bit of drawback is, if you've been in the game for a while, you knew that the Tread Fury was, the Triton Fury was an issue, okay? It would lock down maps like Canyon. It could lock down maps like Yamada. Any map that was wide open, it could kind of lock it down to a degree. If you had at least two of those Furies sitting out somewhere, they could really cause a lot of havoc with people trying to get across the map. This weapon is different than the Triton Fury, because this is an energy-based weapon, which means if you have a shield, it won't go through that shield, but it will damage, and it does quite a bit of damage, okay? Here I'm actually taking on a Strider that doesn't, I know they know I'm here, they're just trying to get the beacon, but it's just doing too much damage to them. Here I'm actually hitting a Spectra, and I'm just firing into the hole to hit whoever I can. It does have a delay. It kind of works like, a EC Thunder. As you can see, the charge goes down, and once the charge goes down, you're not going to get a full fire you're not going to get all your charge. Things like 6 charges to fire at one time. So you have to let it charge all the way back up before you get it going, okay? So that's kind of the downside of it. But it does need that, I believe, because there's I don't know if I think it's the other footage, but there's a time when I was on Canyon and it was 2 of them out there, and you could not move. It has 550, which is almost 600. So a Triton does 600. This does 550. That's not that much of a distance. Plus you have travel time. I didn't really test the travel time. Here you can see I'm taking more damage from that. That was a Fury I was trying to get back from. And then here I'm running it on a Leo. I wanted to run some of the older bots in the game. I've had people ask me that, hey, how do they do with it? as you can see, that bot right there, here's another Spectra. They're running 4 weapons. I don't care what it is. 4 medium weapons do tremendous amount of damage. The Leo has a lot of armor. When I think about it, it may not be as high as it used to be compared to some of the other bots in the game, but it's still, you can go check and see, but it still holds up really well. So I wanted to run it just to see how it did against these bots, and it was doing okay. But I will say, if you see this Spectra running Orkans, just don't get close to it. There's no bot in the game that really can deal with that, except for maybe a Dash that can move quick enough to Hachi, I think that's what it's called, because it has a shield. The Carnage can't deal with it because it has a shield, but we already know 2 Orkans and 2 pins will take a Carnage out if they're fully loaded and the Carnage is not close enough. But you know, 4 Orkans is bad enough. 3 will get you too, right? So 4, you might as well just say it's up. So here we go. This, fortunately for me, they had Tyrans, but you can see they still do a lot of damage. So I'm just trying to back up. This build is not ideal to take on this bot. If these were Magnums, this would have been a lot better, because the Magnums on this would have kept me doing damage to this bot this whole time, and they don't have a lot of armor, right? So we basically end up taking them out. But it's man, look at that. So I've lost the weapon and I'm almost dead anyway, and then I look and I see they're coming back. Now this time they have the Vortex, and just not a good deal. Now it could have been a different pilot, but I think it's the same one, and so that's the Vortex. I'm done, right? So here we go, we're dealing with another. Now this time we get to flank them. They see the Griffin, so I come out and you can see the Magnums are constantly doing damage. The Magnums, if I had the Aphids, they may have done damage, but that would have been one shot, and that one shot I would have 10 seconds. By that time they could have hit their stealth if it was up. They had just hit it, so I don't think they had enough time. It cut it down to about 24 seconds instead of the shorter time it was before. Here I got hit by 4 of those Vortex from one of the Spectra. Was able to survive it, so it wasn't too bad. And here I'm getting hit by a Orkan Spectra. Okay, you can see I was already hurt, but you can see the damage it does. It's just, it is scary. Now here I'm actually running the Vitae. I haven't run this bot in a long time, but I know some people like running old bots. I'm actually trying to take out this Strider, and I think I'm gonna get taken out by a Spectra, and that's a Spectra Orkan. There's nothing a Vitae can do versus a Spectra Orkan except for stay away from it, right? Keep your distance. This build is 500, basically 500, 550, but here you see the Hydras coming in and taking out my bot. And I will say the Hydra build is one of the most destructive builds in the game. As you can see, I was able to take out the Spectra with the Magnum build because it's constant firepower, and the Dragoon does a lot of damage. Here we are again. Now this, we get in close. Now look at the damage that the Hydra is doing. Now they're on cooldown, but I'm able to get in close, and once they come out of their stealth, take them out. I was watching Manny. He made a comment, and I thought about it too, about maybe having the weapons offset where you can't fire them all at the same time. I was also thinking that maybe you would disable certain weapons on that bot. Orkans, those weapons couldn't be on that bot. I know somebody's like, well, what's the purpose of having a bot? But there's nothing in the game. The thing is, you don't have bots to truly counter it. I mean, the Scourge is a strong weapon, but at least you have shielded bots that can somewhat stop it. But Orkans are a different ball game, man. They do a lot of damage. Here we are running the Garlem. I caught them. They were already low health, so that's what happened with that, right? So now I'm using the RDB. He tried to jump, but it was too late. The RDB is a really good build against these bots, depending on where they're at. Now, if they're stealth, they can still jump, so you can try and use the RDB to do damage. Now here is a good example of why the Scourge, even though, like I said, it's not super duper strong, it's very strong in general. On that bot, it's a nightmare, right? Because you just lock and just run around. Once you lock, you have the bot, and you're putting 40s on one bot. Here we're running the Ansel build of the Leo, and you're gonna see the Dragoon just light me up. Now that's a single Dragoon. That's not That's not multiple, it's a single, okay? But then we're trying to deal with that splash from the Spectra at the same time, and then we have a Carnage comes in, okay? So the Carnage is gonna get rid of my shield, and we're just gonna try and keep firing, but we're just trying to hold it on, right? So we want to keep that distance. Just lost one of my weapons. So, you know, it depends. The Leo's a bot that you usually can just walk up on bots and really take them out, or do enough damage, substantial damage, that it really makes a difference. But you know, I found myself backing up. This is one of those rare moments that I felt like the Leo was shining, and I actually have the EC Thunder with these Punishers, and I'm not the focus, right? That little guy there to the left is not really focused on me. Now they are, but it's too late. And then I'm gonna get hit by this guy here. He's hitting me with those Dragoons. There's two of them. Now I'm getting hit with the Scourge, and we still managed to take the Butch out. Now we try and get this other Spectre to the far right, but it's too late, okay? So that was kind of a shining moment. Here we are with the Sack one on the same map, same situation. I'm basically trying to watch my distance, but there's a Spectre that's too close, and here's what's gonna happen. Now look at the damage, and they didn't get a full, everything didn't hit me that they fired, right? So I'm half health already, and then I end up going out in the field, and I kind of lost track. There was a Dragoon to the left that's gonna move out to the left. I'm just trying to get this Spectre out of here. The Spectre is not focused on me. Now I have another one trying to get this one out as well. I think they had unloaded their clip. That's why they didn't just wipe me off the planet. And now I'm going to get hit. You're going to see blue lights hit me from the left side, and it's going to be curtains. So it just there it is. So, and that's just two of them, you know, but I was already low health. Now we're going to use the Zeus, and I just want to show you Zeus trying to take on these bots. Just see what kind of damage they do with the Nordstrom. I do use the Nordstrom here and there, just trying to test it out. I don't really have any high levels in the game, but on the test server I was able to see what this thing could do against these bots, because it has a faster reload time. It's only like 6 seconds, well, 9 seconds. So it's actually the fastest reload time in the game, and a lot of times we miss the amount of damage it can do because we're looking at the damage amount of each hit. We're not factoring in how fast it is firing versus how much damage it's doing, and that's the big factor. So I'm just kind of doing damage here. You saw earlier I was trying to stop that Hellburner from getting to my teammate. Did not work because it come out so fast. Here we're gonna fire a Spectra, and I call those like assist hits right there. You can see that I hit him and somebody else hit him. So by the time the last person got to him, it was pretty much curtains. And we're just gonna look at the Nordstrom, and you can see it's doing good damage. But remember, I only have to wait 9 seconds before I fire again. So if you're on live and you need a weapon that can kind of do some damage to these bots, if you don't have a Scourge, because you definitely dealing with these bots, you definitely need something that's gonna hold on the damage to them. The RDB is still gonna be good because they don't have a shield. That's, thank goodness, right? But I will put out some videos about that little guy, the Strider, the funny, you know, explosive animation. I think they did it on purpose. But that bot, man, I'll show you a video where it is, man. If you know what you're doing, it's gonna be a nightmare, right? It'll be a nightmare. I love playing with it, but the more I thought about it, just like this Dragoon behind me, you know, you're gonna run into it. People are gonna be upset, but I will tell you, if you have a dash, you might want to be real careful running out there in front of a Dragoon or even the Redeemer that's in the game. They do a tremendous amount of damage. So here we are going after some of the new bots with basically a conventional build that's in the game already, the Zeus Carnage. People already know this is a dangerous build, but as you can see, I'm doing great damage. Somebody hit this bot, but then I hit him again, and that, you know, gets them out of the game. So they don't have a shield, they just have speed. That's the biggest thing about the Strider. And the Spectra, it doesn't have the speed anymore. It does have stealth, but it does have a crazy payload, and that's the big thing about that makes it so dangerous. On maps like this, you can kind of deal with it a lot better, right? Because we have so much range, and they are slowed down so much that, you know, even if they jump and hit their stealth, they're going to be out there exposed for a while. So here we are trying to get rid of one. Now this one was already locked in, ready to go, and you're going to see what's going to happen once they get close. Their stealth, I cannot hit them. My charge is up, but I can't do anything about it, and we're just trying to get them. And thank goodness Look what's hitting from the right, that blue light. But I got him, but it was the blue light I believe was doing more than damage, so I just had to, you know, get a touch on him, right? And then here's another one. We're trying to get him. Now this is an example of Zeus, how it takes so long to lock on to another target sometimes, and that can cost you. As you can see, I didn't get that target. So that was just a quick rundown of some of the bots in the game and some of the weapons and how those things are, you know, coming into the game. Just, you know, make sure if you get a chance, get on the test server. Make sure you put your comments in there, because it makes a difference. I know people like it don't make. I believe it makes a difference, because if everybody's like, look, dude, this is not gonna work, it helps. There are players who are brand new to the game. They're like, oh, this is really cool, not realizing that when that new weapon comes into the game, that's a balance change. And so you come in and you say, this is great, but you can't get that weapon. All of a sudden, you're outgunned and outmanned, and now you're frustrated because you can't do anything about it. So I would just say definitely be on the test server so you can put in your, you know, surveys, get your responses. You know, definitely try to help them out. I mean, they are coming up with some cool ideas, but I will tell you, the Hellburner, the one thing about it, most people I don't think anybody said, but you can use it as a beacon runner. You're gonna lose it anyway. It's a low health bot, but it runs so fast, you might as well sometimes use that to get to the beacon, like the person did in this video. They ran towards the beacon first, then they came at me. Now if I had energy, I probably could have burnt them down, but I had the punishers, which they had to get through the shield of the Ansel and then hit the bot. And then by the time I was able to, you know, get ready to rock and roll, I had to jump away, and I still took damage because I wasn't outside of that radius. So that's the thing about that bot. It is so dangerous. You know, no comments on it. You let me know what you think about it in the comments. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I do have about I got a couple more videos, because this is a bunch of them. I wanted to break them up and just show you different instances of how these different weapons and the old bots are dealing with these new bots. Because you know, when you see the new bot, it's cool, you play with it, you know what it can do. I have a video last week, you can see what it was beforehand, and really the only difference this week is the speed. They did drop down the damage, they did drop down, not the damage, but they dropped down the health of it, they dropped down the speed. You really can't jump as high as you could. Like, it's almost funny. It's like they should just remove the jump personally, or give them the regular jump, you know, but maybe take away the stealth. That stealth is the part that makes the bot even worse. It has an insane payload, but like I tell everybody, like I told you guys before, I know they're gonna bring it into the game unless, you know, people just have a complete, like, we're not touching this. Whenever they have skin on a robot, when you first see it on test server and it's already skinned up, ready to go, that bot is going to get into the game unless, you know, like I say, it's like calling your Congress, like, hey, we will not stand by this. That's the only way it's not coming to the game. Otherwise, you will see that bot in the game. But they did say they're making changes. Look at the news feed that, hey, we want to allow everybody to get, or just, we want you to be able to get all the bots and weapons in the game, basically like it was before. You do what you need to do in the game, and you can get anything in the game. And to me, that was one of the biggest concepts that I enjoyed about the game, was because I knew I could get anything in the game, and anybody else could get anything in the game. And that way, I'm not up here getting weapons and bots that I know you have no shot against me. Like, what are you even doing up here? Like, you should go ahead and log off and go play in the kiddie pool, because this over here, this is for the big kids. And that's what it's kind of moved to. But hopefully they can get it, you know, rebalanced out. They do have a lot of weapons in the game that just kind of, you have to get used to them. Because like I say, you don't want to get in the point where you don't evolve, but at the same time, when you evolve, you should have bots that are actually across the board ready to rock and roll. They may not be able to really deal with this side, but they can deal with that side. But when you can't deal with either side, that's when you got an imbalance, and that's when it just kind of goes out the wash on that. So this is the first in the series of basically, you know, I guess you could say, walkable robots, you know, 4.0. If you want to call it that, it's the new move, because we are moving towards insane damage, and it's increasing. And you know, I don't know where it's going to end, but there's a tremendous amount of damage in the game. You can get away from certain things, but there's a lot of stuff you can't, like, say I walked away from that, I was able to really continue to fight a lot of stuff. A lot of the weapons in the game now, if you get hit by those weapons, you will be severely damaged and unable to really attack other people, even if you're doing what you can say fundamentally is right as far as evading, moving, trying to protect yourself, trying to use cover. I mean, they have weapons that make sure you can't, that cover is no good. Like, you don't want to be around your teammates if somebody has a shot train. It just really throws a lot of things off. And you know, there's nobody to truly block it except for a shielded bot. But if you hit them from the side, it's still gonna bounce from them to the next person. And they still have a lot of damage. They cut down the damage, but they increase the amount of bots that jumps it. So that's it. This is the Ghost. I hope that's everything I wanted to get out. I want to make sure you guys saw these different, different scenarios. I know people are putting out, like I say, the main bots, but I want to put out some of the bots that some of my viewers have talked about. You know, Kimmy was like, yo, thank you for putting out the old. We want to see the current bots, like our old bots. How are they doing against this? And last week I did a whole bunch of games where I was playing like my whole old hanger, like not old, but the Griffins and all that against the new bots, but they changed it this week. So that just got scrapped. So I have this stuff here. And then I have, like I said, I got some one-on-ones that I want to put up. Somebody invited me, it was random. So that was definitely a really good thing for me to get, and I'll put that up. And then I also have another battle where it's the Lance. I don't really have a Lance in here because I ran a Lance with it, and now that was different. That was different. Okay, that was a little bit different, and you'll get to see, how the Lance did in that scenario. So that's it. This is the Ghost. I'm done. I think I spoke enough. Deuces.
Thanks for watching. Leave a comment if you enjoyed this video, and as always, choose like over death.